Coming up on Mountain News this morning, thousands of people in our region could be waiting even longer for their power to be restored. And power crews across the state ask everyone to be patient as they work around the clock.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning to you. It's Tuesday and I'm Dakota Makris. It is almost 5 o'clock. Let's head over to Brandon for a look at that forecast this morning. And before we even start this newscast off, I have an announcement. My allergies are acting up this morning. So I woke up this morning and I had another sneezing fit. So I took some Zyrtec. Hopefully it kicks in. But I've never sneezed so much. It was to the point where Winona ran away from me. I was sneezing so much.
Wow.
Yeah, she like ran under the bed. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Scaring the cat.
But I think what the issue is obviously the warmer temperatures, and they're replacing the floor downstairs in my house.
Well, that could be.
So I think it's the dust being kicked up and all that.
Could be something. But I can tell you one thing. You're not going to see a whole lot of warm temperatures later this week, starting today. Let's take a look and see what's going on this morning. Notice not a whole lot of difference on the satellite from yesterday, but the temperature is still a little bit warm this morning. They're coming down, though. Your daytime high for today was at midnight, so wherever you were at midnight is basically where you're going to be all day long. We lost a couple of sensors, got a couple of sensors back. It's just kind of sensor roulette there this morning. So again, you see 63 still in Harlan. Let's see, try to find him more 60. 63 Jacksboro, 59 there in Middlesboro, 58 Prestonsburg, Pikeville, Clintwood, 59 also in Jonesville, but 46 in Moorhead, 53 Irvin, 51 in Monticello. So they're crashing fast. So a normal day to a little extra on your coffee meter this morning as you head out the door. Out the door forecast, well, it's going to be a mix of basically sun and clouds. You may have a few more clouds at times, a few more sunshine at times, but the temperatures will continue to drop through about mid-morning. So even though you step out the door right now, like, oh, it's not too bad, take your jacket because you will need it later today. We'll only rebound back into the low to mid-50s this afternoon. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, appreciate it. Thousands of people have been without power in parts of southern Kentucky since Friday. A state of emergency was declared in Pulaski County because of the windstorm. Our Phil Pendleton reports.
Proud of what they're doing. I mean, I know their job is tough. And
Robert Clearing hasn't had electricity since Friday. A large tree knocked out power to him and everyone in his neighborhood off Ringgold Road in Somerset.
Well, it's been hard without no power, no internet, no TV. We can't do nothing. We had to go out to eat all the time.
At its peak, 10,000 South Kentucky RECC customers lost power. Almost half the entire customer base in their 13-county service area lost electricity. Almost 100 utility poles were broken.
And to set a new pole can be a 3 to 4 hour project, and that's in optimal areas.
This has had a deep impact on a lot of people. Many people are staying in their homes, riding out the aftermath of this storm, dealing with no electricity, staying in their homes. However, some are running off of generators. Others are just simply hunkering down and making do with what they have. Crews are working through the day and night to restore power.
You know, we have linemen that are out of power themselves, and their families have had to go, relocate or, try to go or are staying at home and without power.
It's better than having the worst, but it could have been worse. It could have been snowing. It could have been 20 degrees outside. And
South Kentucky RECC says it could be several days before all the power is restored. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, last check, there were nearly 5,000 people across the South Kentucky RECC service area without electricity. Statewide, there are still more than 65,000 customers without electricity, mostly in central and southern Kentucky. Well, other power companies are working to restore power across the state. Kentucky Utilities is asking for patience as crews work to restore power. Well, crews say at first it took time to clear lines and assess damage, but now they are working to restore lines.
In a storm situation, we may have broken poles and wires that are down that can present a hazard to folks, and so we make sure we get those cleaned up and clear first.
Power is expected to be restored to hospitals, police stations, and fire stations first. Next, critical commercial and industrial sites will be restored, followed by private homes and non-critical commercial and industrial sites. Well, Governor Andy Beshear shared some economic news yesterday. He says Kentucky set the lowest annual unemployment rate in state history for 2022 at 3.9%. The governor adds this is the lowest rate seen since the Bureau of Labor Statistics began reporting state unemployment in 1976. Across the country, the unemployment rate decreased to 3.6% in 2022. That is down from 5.3% in 2021. State Representative Layman Swan and Kentucky tenants gathered yesterday morning to talk about House Bill 437. Swan says the bill would end housing discrimination. It would stop landlords from refusing to accept forms of government assistance and child support as viable sources of income. He says source of income discrimination affects renters of color, women, and people living with disabilities the most, and says this is a problem across the state.
Source of income laws open up a higher opportunity in lower poverty neighborhoods and also support strong health, educational, and economic benefits for families with children.
Well, the representative says other forms of discrimination like immigration status and credit score need to be addressed as well. The bill has not been assigned to a committee yet. Well, thank you so much for getting your Tuesday morning started with us here on Mountain News this morning. Coming up, if you tend to suffer from allergies, when springtime comes around, right now might be the time to prepare so you can breathe a little bit easier.
Usually hits me too, but not so far. Puxatawny Field might have had it right after all when he made his prediction back in February. I'll have the much cooler forecast for this week in about 3 minutes.